As authorities work to figure out how Stephen Paddock obtained his arsenal of weapons, Nevada is becoming the latest flashpoint in the gun control debate. During the 2016 election, Nevada voters narrowly approved a ballot measure requiring background checks for gun sales between private individuals. But nearly a year later, it appears the legislation is not being enforced. The measure would prohibit, except in certain circumstances, a person from selling or transferring a firearm to another person unless a federally licensed dealer first conducts a federal background check on the potential buyer or transferee. Now, the Nevada Independent is reporting that just days before the Las Vegas massacre, backers of the measure threatened to sue Nevada's governor and the state if they did not immediately implement the legislation. John Ralston is the editor-in-chief of the Nevada Independent, and he joins me now. So, John, can you tell us more about this stalled ballot measure? It was supposed to go into effect January 1st. What happened?
Yeah, you described it very accurately. It passed by a very narrow margin, only about 1%. And the way Nevada works is there's a big urban-rural divide. Clark County, where we're standing right now, Las Vegas, passed it by 100,000 votes. The rest of the state, all other 16 counties, voted against it by about 91,000 votes. So it barely passed. It looked like it was going to go into effect. And then the FBI essentially said it could not do the background checks, and the state had to do them. There was no way to do it in the state, so the Attorney General said, don't do it, and the governor agreed. So the supporters have said, listen, you're going against the will of the people. You can't do this. But it's been stalled, as you pointed out, for almost a year now, until, as we reported today on the Nevada Independent site, the supporters sent a letter, ironically, I guess, a few days before the shooting, saying that they were going to sue the governor if he didn't actually start enforcing the will of the people. The governor just responded to us about an hour or so ago saying he was going to have the Attorney General take another look at it and issue another opinion.
So that is to be continued. Meantime, John, a GoFundMe campaign being spearheaded by Nevada gubernatorial candidate and Clark County Commissioner Steve Sisolak has almost reached its goal of $4.5 million. What other ways are you seeing the community come together in the wake of Sunday's attack?
You know, it really has been remarkable. I say this a lot because when I talk to people in the national media, there's a certain cynicism about Las Vegas. We're not a real city. Look, people must live in these hotels, Sin City, all the rest of it. But the way that this community has responded from near and far in terms of donating blood, they ran out of donation kits at least one center. There have been 4 to 5 hour waits to the point where they've had to go online and set up sites where people have to make appointments to come and donate blood that go into next week. So the response from the community has really been phenomenal. And I'm not just talking about prominent people giving donations to that GoFundMe campaign. I'm just talking about regular folks who want to help.
The Nevada Gaming Control Board placed extra plainclothes staff in many of the city's casinos. I wonder, John, what other precautions or changes in protocol might you be seeing in response to the shooting?
I think this is going to change the way that all of these casinos behave now in terms of security. When you find out that this guy essentially brought an arsenal into a major casino resort, how did that happen? I interviewed Steve Wynn last year, and he told me quite shockingly that he essentially inside his casino has set up a counterterrorism unit. A lot of plainclothes people who work for the Wynn, they have metal detectors where you can't see them. I think that's the wave of the future. It's tough for them, though, right? They don't want to scare people away. This is a tourism destination, but they also want people to feel safe. So it's that balance that they're going to have to deal with from now on.
And I would imagine, John, that is precisely the central question for a city like Las Vegas, where they do very much want to have and promote this open atmosphere, while at the same time, when you've seen some of the analysis of what happened, you'll have some security experts, for instance, compare the openness in Las Vegas to the relative closed way in which other hotels operate around the world, where there is very visible security. Is there any talk of anything along those lines where there would be very open, very clear protocols that could perhaps, in addition to serving the purpose of screening those guests coming in, serve as a deterrent, some would hope, to anyone who is planning on doing any harm?
I think you're going to see a whole panoply of proposals, including what you just suggested. But this is a very, very difficult thing because, of course, now you're having national and international coverage of the most horrific shooting, the deadliest shooting in modern American history, where a guy was up on the 32nd floor of this tall building shooting down into a crowd. There's a lot of situations like that in Las Vegas. How do you protect against that? Are there going to be metal detectors? Are there going to be more visible security measures taken? I think you're going to have a lot of debate about that within the gaming industry here, but also among state policymakers. And you're going to have people react and overreact, I think, which is generally what happens in the wake of something like this.
All right, we'll continue to watch it all. John Ralston, thanks so much, John, for your perspective. Really appreciate it.
You see, every time there is an alleged mass shooting or terrorist attack, gun control suddenly becomes an issue. The pro-gun crowd usually responds in kind with a spike in gun sales, and it's exactly this thing that the shareholders are expecting. This is one thing that may bring motive into question because the firearms industry always makes a killing, to put it bluntly, after every event of this kind. But unlike many, gun control isn't something I'm really concerned about. Because I wonder, do these people who put so much importance on their own personal protection think their guns will save them from enduring the Great Tribulation? Will it really matter how well armed you are? After all, John plainly asks the question if there is anybody that can make war with the beast. Whenever Christians bring up gun control as some mortal threat to their freedom, they never explain how being locked and loaded will in any way help them when the beast makes war with them, and as John puts it, overcomes them, which speaks volumes. How about shooting it out with this army of locusts? Can you make war with them? Is your AR-15 and Molotov cocktail going to matter? How about the armed forces with their Tomahawk cruise missiles and such? I don't think it will go well for them either. How about the mortal head wound he receives? This is the age of gunpowder, so let's assume he gets shot. He dies, so it seems, yet rises again with his head as good as new. Can you make war with something that can't even be killed? Why are these questions never asked by Christians about gun control? These are supernatural beings we're talking about. And when the beast is released from the pit, neither John nor any other prophet, Old and New Testament, ever says anything about them being defeated at all by anyone. It only says that a ton of people are eventually going to die trying, which could be by the billions. For those people who put so much of their faith in guns, let me enlighten you if you really think it will do you any good when the crap really hits the fan. There will only be two possible outcomes for you. The sensible people will lay down their guns once they realize how futile their efforts will be, and or flee to the hills like Jesus said many Jews in Israel will do. Or two, you can try and fight and lose miserably. Those are your options. As for me, I plan on having the ironclad faith in the Lord Jesus Christ to get me through it, should I live to see that day.